Well, Heidi ho, this weekend, this video, we're going to tackle several pretty easy, low-hanging fruit RV upgrades. They are
shower head replacement, magnetic drawer locks,
tell them,
dimmer switches,
an
entry drawer window,
giggity,
and a custom mattress.
That's it. Let's get it all going right now. Well, here in the bathroom, specifically the shower, we've got another project that I think is really super simple. That being said, there are still a few things that we thought warranted consideration that we'd go ahead and talk about. It's our shower head. We wanted to replace it for just a few reasons. One, while it had different modes with the little vibrator head and a couple of different shower sprays, it didn't have a pause button. And that meant that we were constantly having to change the valves down below when we were showering or just leave it on altogether. And with leaving it on so that we could keep our temperature the same, as well as not having that pause button, we've noticed that we have been using a lot more water than you're used to. Remember, Alana and I are coming from an overlanding environment where we could go a week on 5 gallons of water. Here we have 42 gallons of water, but we're finding ourselves still only making it about a week before we're needing to put a lot more water in. So two things that we wanted to accomplish here with the shower head by replacing it, and that is we picked up this, again, not sponsored, we're just going to try it, this Oxygenics shower head, and it does address both things. One, the water volume. In this case, it adds in air, that's the Oxygenics part, to increase or simulate a higher water volume. Now, for a lot of you, that's not desirable. And if you're staying in campgrounds where you have full hookups or easy access to dump your tanks all the time and refill your tanks, it's not a problem. Again, for us boondocking, the more we can stretch both the fresh water and our gray water, the more that will be advantageous to us. So I'm interested in adding some additional water in. But the other thing this particular shower head has here is a pause button. It's got a trickle feature where once we get the water temperature set perfectly between the hot and cold valves or the handles, then we can just click the pause. It will keep that water fresh and moving to stay warm when we turn it back on, but go down to a near zero water. That way we can not use as much when we're doing the soaping and lathering portion of our showers. As far as the job itself, I think the toughest part is going to be replacing what the shower head mounts to up here. I'm not sure how this one comes off, and I think I'm probably going to have to put some new holes in to hold the new shower head. But because we bought an RV specific shower head, the connections are the same. If you wanted to replace and go with a standard home style, that is possible, but depending on your valve setup, you may have to get some adapters and other things, because we found the faucets and those types of connections are a little different size than what most of your home faucets and shower heads tend to be. Anyway, I think this is going to be a simple one, so let's get at it. This did go about as easily as I thought. I did have 2 screws through here, and luckily the plate that this came with happened to be wide enough that it covered those holes. Additionally, this plate actually came with some 3M adhesive strips. I ended up replacing that with some 3M emblem molding so that I could shape it a little bit better and give a better coverage to that plate, because there's only one little screw up on the top that I need to add to mount that. That went all okay. And then down here is the little valve that I talked about. This is the pause valve. So this is stopped or paused, and then forward is on full flow. Everything here was almost toolless. If it hadn't been just for taking out and putting the one screw in, everything was hand tight with gasket seals. Now, as far as without running water yet, we are still winterized, but with everything went good. I'm optimistic. I'm not happy with the cord or the line that it came with very much. You can see I've done everything I can do to sort of remove the kinks from that, and it is just, it's like just barely long enough. Now I did move the shower head up as much as I could, just so that for me, I'm not an overly tall guy, 5'10 and a half, 5'11, and I just wanted to get underneath it as much as I can. So anyway, there it is, a very easy one. We'll let you know in a future video once we can use water again on, you know, how it went. Well, I hope this next job goes just as well as the last, but it's certainly more important to us. we need to add child-proof locks to all of the drawers throughout the RV. We noticed on our first trip that when we put a lot of heavier things in them, as we turned in the front cabinets and then in these when we would hit the brakes, these drawers would want to pop open as we went down the road. And beyond it being a nuisance and hearing them open and close while you're going down the road, for us, this slide comes in all the way up to here. And for these, they can actually open and get behind this slide lip here. And in fact, we caught it once. On our very first time setting up camp, this drawer had come open. I didn't do a proper inspection, and I started to grab it. Now, luckily, we noticed right away, and I was able to rebend the drawer guide that I had damaged a little bit to where this drawer is still working just fine, but we want to ensure that we don't have to worry about that in the future, or at least add a little bit of peace of mind. Now, the previous owners knew this was likely an issue because on these top two drawers, they actually added a child-proof lock already. And the way it works is you open up and it gets caught, and then you push down on this lock and then it opens the rest of the way. And that's pretty easy to use, I'll be honest with you, but you do have to do this every time. What Alana and I wanted was something that worked when we were going down the road, kept the drawers locked, but then when we got to camp, we could just turn off. So what she grabbed was these Macy brand magnetic locks. I'll pop a big picture up here. The way these work is they have a key, which is really just a magnet, and as you get it to within 2 inches of the lock, it pops the little latch down. You can see, so that's a way that you can get into it really pretty easily. But the super extra nice thing is that it has the manual override. So that way when the manual override is down, you don't even need the key at all. So what that's going to allow us to do then is when we get to camp, we can put the magnet up here. Works through 2 inches, so the wood thickness isn't a problem. We can put the magnet up here. We can open the drawer, then flip that lock, and then use them as normal when we're at camp. Before we go to depart, we go to leave, we come back, we flip all those clamps, close the drawer, and we're good to go. Now again, no sponsorship here. The reason that we like these was the manual override, 1, and then 2, they're an adhesive on. Both the lock and the catch have a 3M adhesive that you can stick these into place, but they also have dedicated holes where you could put some additional screws if you didn't feel like that was sufficient and wanted to add them. We're going to first start just with the adhesive, and because this comes with a handy dandy little guide, I think this one's going to go pretty quick. Here we go. Well, this has been a very simple install. You can see now it is here. The drawer will not open. I have the little magnet here. As I hold it there, you can hear it click, and then it will open right up. You can see it pops back up. If we're at camp, flip, boom, works normally. We get ready to leave, we flip, and now it is road safe. Now, one thing I will mention, I did go ahead and use the 2 screws, and that's because my installation is on plywood here rather than a finished surface. So I used the screws here as well as on the catch. It does not include the screws, so if you want to do that, you'll need to add those. But that being said, these 4 rear drawers here, I completed in less than 15 minutes. So now on to the next 6. Well, that all went pretty well, but I do want to point out, and it is also indicated in the instructions. If you watch the instruction video, the packaging had a QR code, would take you to a video. You have to be careful to not mount the lock really close to where there's some metal, iron, or some other things, and that's because both parts actually contain a magnet. There's a magnet in this end as well as the key itself. Where that becomes an issue, or where it became an issue for us, is I had hoped to put this not necessarily in the center of all of our drawers. I had hoped to be able to put it away, particularly where our kitchen utensils are, over in a corner or on a side and further out of the way from being right in the middle. And when I moved this further over to the edge, boom, it went down. And that's because of the staples for how the drawer happened to be constructed. On another drawer, I thought it was going to be okay because it didn't trigger it, but then I noticed once it was down, it wouldn't reset either. So the bottom line is these worked really well anytime they were in the center of the drawer, but if you are going to want to move them onto the outside, you may need to look into a different type or at least a different brand. But these were super easy, pretty cheap, and we're glad with what we went with.
One of the jobs we just finished was adding dimmers to a couple of the circuits in here. One thing this RV is not lacking is light. And some of them are quite bright when we're just trying to relax or kind of watch TV or a movie. So we did identify 2 circuits that we wanted to change, And no matter how much I searched and tried to find the same brand that looked like these or even similar ones, there was going to be some cutting involved, so it made it quite difficult to do any videoing while we were doing the change. But one of the circuits we did change up was this one here over the dinette, and you can dim it down actually quite well. That's full brightness for it, and it still has the switch with it. And the other one we did was the accent lighting around that can be operated over by the kitchen. One of the other things that you do have to take into account is the new switches, or the dimmer switches, do require 3 wires, a negative, a positive, and then one that goes to the light. The RV switches tend to have a positive coming in and one that just goes to the light, so the switch is just breaking the circuit. So you do have to try to find a ground. We were lucky, our switches are nearby lights that require grounds to operate, so we were able to cut into those and pull them over to the switch. Now that those are in, we should definitely have some better mood lighting for when we want to just relax here in the RV.
Well, next up on our RV to-do list is to tackle and replace our entry door window and the glass. Why do we want to do that? Well, Alana and I can't understand why so many RV manufacturers use this diffused or kind of smoke screen glass in the entryway. To us, it's like the worst of multiple worlds. For one, you can't see out. You have no idea what's right outside your door before you step out. At least in our case, we could open the kitchen window, but I would much prefer to be able to see that here. The other thing is, when it comes to light, sometimes we just want to sleep in, we want it to be dark, and you can't do that here. It's always going to let some amount of light in. You can see where the previous owner has some Velcro tabs here where they had made some insulation and tried to add some privacy to it. So anyway, Alana has ordered a replacement window for us that fits right in here. It's a smoked clear glass that will match the rest of the windows in the RV. But the real kicker is it has a blackout shade also that matches the rest of the interior in the RV. As far as the swap, well, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go. Ours happens to have screws all the way down around it. I don't know if you can see that through the screen. And the new one is a snap together or click style window. I think it's going to be okay. I've already made sure that it fits, but in order to know for sure, I got to get this thing out of here. I'm not gonna lie, that was a very easy job. So easy that my time lapse didn't work. It was beginning to end a 15-minute thing. One thing, if you're interested in shopping for this or doing this yourself, what we ended up getting, or what Alana ordered, is a Lippert brand. The instructions are some of the worst instructions that we have ever viewed. Now, that being said, it's pretty simple to figure out without them. The main reason I bring this up is the instructions include both a snap together frame as well as a screw together frame. If you can find a variant of this window that is the screw together frame, I would encourage you to get it, because the snapping together will absolutely take 2 people, and even then you just don't quite feel like, one person's holding on the inside and one person's pushing on the outside. So unless you've got some clamps that are will reach the whole door, I think the screw together is it's a lot easier to put together. Now, the obvious thing for some of you is you're going to say, well, you still can't open the blind very easily because for us, the screen door is blocking it. And very true. We'll have to step outside to move the blind up or down. So we're going to have to decide whether we want it halfway, all the way up, or all the way down. But still, we feel like from outside, it just matches the rest of the RV. It looks better. Most of the time, this is probably going to be open for us until we're ready for bed, and then we're going to close it all the way. We don't mind going outside because we normally do a little walk around last bit of a walk anyway. So that's it. We still have another day here on the weekend to do a lot more stuff, but we've already started our whiskey, and it was a healthy pour. So we're going to relax, get a shower, and then get back at it tomorrow. Well, the last thing that we're tackling, or that we have actually already tackled for this weekend, is to install our new custom mattress from the Custom Mattress Factory. This has been on our radar really from the very beginning when we started considering an RV. As we started to look around the forums and gather information, it seemed that whether an RV was brand new or whether it was used, it was one of the very first upgrades that everyone seemed to agree on was nearly necessary. We started out a little reserved in that decision. We wanted to see how it was, and that's because the original owners of this RV thought that the mattress that was in it was really pretty comfortable. And if it weren't for a few factors, I think we kind of would have agreed with them. Those two factors are its length. As we discovered in our very first intro video for Tumbleweed, while this is a queen bed, it's shorter than a queen bed, and I felt like my feet were all the time hanging off. The other thing that we noticed was Alana always felt like her head was higher than her feet when she was sleeping, and we didn't know if that was just related to wear or some other factor. As we ended up diving into this for our custom mattress, we took some measurements, and one of the things that we discovered was that the original mattress that was in here had the incorrect thickness difference between the slide deck and the storage box that is down below. So that was something that was going to be easily addressed when we went to go get our custom mattress. But beyond that, we also wanted to do some things to make it functionally longer. The first thing that we did was we added a cushioned headboard up at the wall, and while that actually takes a little bit of length from the bed overall, we felt like adding some insulation and some padding up there to where we were more comfortable sleeping close to the window and that outdoor wall would make it more functionally long, even though we took some length there. But then also we were able to add actually length to the mattress. If we took the gap that was here at this wall between the dresser for Alana's side of the bed and made that similar to the pathway here around the bathroom wall, it was about 2 to 2.5 inches longer out here that we had room for as well. So we took all these measurements, and there's really only two major places that you can get a custom RV mattress made. As I've already mentioned, we went with the Custom Mattress Factory. And overall, through some of the holidays and everything, from the custom order time, whoever Alana interfaced with there, I believe she told me her name was Nicole, it was a pretty easy process. I understand that she sent her a text message so that she could verify the dimensions that we had given. And then about a week and a half later, we had received a mattress. We cut it open because it's all packed, it blows up, everything went great. We came out here and we've put it in the RV. And then, unfortunately, we found that there's a few little stitches that are actually starting to come undone. They're not functional stitches, they're more of an aesthetic little stitch line. That being said, it's not an overly cheap mattress, so Alana reached out to them and said, hey, this is happening, do you have any suggestions? And really within an hour and a half, we were told, you're getting a new mattress. So this is completely handmade and custom, and accidents happen. But that being said, we feel like their customer service was absolutely superb. Now, for us, we have to pay to have mattresses disposed of, so we're not sure exactly what we're going to do with this mattress that has just these few stitches that are messed up. But now we have two, so one of them is going to permanently find its way in here, and after some, test rolling around on here and seeing what it feels like, we're pretty optimistic that this is going to be just long enough and now flat enough for us to enjoy our camping. Well, there you go. We hope that you got something out of that, if nothing more than an idea for you to take on a weekend project this winter to make next season's camping season better for you. For us, the low-hanging fruit are all pretty much done now. We've got some bigger projects on the horizon. We're going to be tackling some storage, a unique way to reuse our bunk space. I've got a bigger project to take some of the lithium batteries, solar chargers, and all that stuff actually out of our overland setup so that we can reuse it in the RV now. And some other stuff that I am now forgetting, but I know is a little larger in scale. So we hope to see you in the next video. If not, well, hey, have a nice time camping and wave if you see us. Bye-bye.